Good morning. Welcome to Story Time. I'm Tarneshia Evans, Children's Program Developer here at Ginter Botanical Garden. And because we are practicing social distancing, I'm going to take my mask off because my friend Claudine is more than 6 feet away from me. And I'm going to take my mask off so you guys can hear the story. So today we are in a different spot. You guys like this spot? It's quiet, right? What do you see behind me? What do you see around me? See trees. What colors do we see? Green? See a lot of green? I see green. What else do you see? I see some purple over there. Well, I like to call this my sit spot. And a sit spot is a place that you can find in your yard or your neighborhood or at your neighborhood park or playground, wherever you might play. But a sit spot is a good place for you to just sit, observe nature, use all your 5 senses, like what do you do with your ears? You hear, right? So what do we hear? Oh, I hear birds. And before we started story time, Claudine and I heard a frog, right, Claudine? Sound like a dog barking, but we know it wasn't a dog. It was a frog. What else? There it is. It likes us. I think it wants to play with us. And what do I see? What do we see? We see lots of green, right? What else do we see? Flowers, some yellow flowers over there, the purple flowers. I'm gonna use my hands, right? What do I touch? What do I feel? I heard a bee, guys. Did you hear the bee? I'm gonna touch this seed pod. It's kind of crispy. It feels crispy. Now, I'm not gonna use my sense of taste because I'm not tasting anything over here. That wouldn't be a good idea. So this morning, in our sit spot, I'm going to read Daniel Finds a Poem by Micha Archer. Here's Daniel. Here's Daniel. Look at this. It kind of looks like Daniel's on a sit spot too. But here in the garden, this special place is called the seat wall. Okay, and so doesn't it look like Daniel might be on the seat wall? A little bit. Let's read Daniel Finds a Poem by Micha Archer. Daniel finds a poem. Look at that. He's talking to a cricket. Daniel knows all the rocks, trees, and animals in the park. On Monday morning, Daniel sees something new. On the park gate, a sign reads, "Poetry in the park at 6 o'clock." There's the sign. What is poetry? Daniel says. What do you guys think poetry is? Do you guys know any poems? Wow, guys, I'm sorry. I have to stop this story because now there's tons of them. There's tons of frogs croaking at us. Right, Claudine? That's so cool. Okay, sorry. He looks up in surprise when he hears a spider say, "To me, poetry is when morning dew glistens." Have you guys ever looked at a spider web when it's wet? It is the coolest thing ever. On Tuesday, Daniel climbs the old oak tree. He sees squirrel. Squirrel, do you know what poetry is? What do you think squirrel says to him? Poetry is when crisp leaves crunch, squirrel tells him. What day is it? So, that was Tuesday. What comes after Tuesday? That is so, they are everywhere. We are in like Frog Haven over here. Oh my gosh. On Wednesday, Daniel calls into Chipmunk's hole. Chipmunk, can you tell me what poetry is? What do you think Chipmunk tells Daniel? Poetry. Poetry is a home with many windows and an old stone wall. What day of the week is next? It comes after Wednesday, guys. Thursday. On Thursday, Daniel makes a boat with a leaf for a sail and watches the wind carry it across the pond. He calls quietly to Frog. You think the frog will answer us if we ask the frog that's croaking at us what is poetry? Probably not. He quietly calls to Frog. Excuse me, Frog. What is poetry? Poetry, says Frog, is a cool place to dive into. And the frogs that are croaking at us very loudly have a cool place to dive, and we'll show you it later. What day of the week? What comes after Thursday? Friday. On Friday, Daniel parts the cattails and finds Turtle. Hello, Turtle. I have a question. Do you know what poetry is? I think poetry is sun-warmed sand, Turtle said. What day of the week comes after Saturday? After Friday. I just told you the answer. Saturday. On Saturday afternoon, Daniel finds Cricket. Here's Cricket again. Remember he was talking to Cricket at the beginning of the story? On Saturday, Daniel finds Cricket in the shade of the slide. What is poetry? He asked Cricket. When the shadows are long, crickets fill the air with music. Is this poetry to you, Cricket? Singing at twilight when the day is done. Indeed it is, Daniel. So, take a look at the sky. What time of day is it? It's getting late, right? So it's night. It's almost nighttime. That night, moonlight fills Daniel's room. He hears a whoo. Leaning from his window, he calls to Owl. What is poetry? There's Daniel right there. Kind of see him in his shadow. What do you think Owl's going to tell him? Oh, poetry. Poetry is bright stars in the branches, moonlight on the grass, and silent wings to take me wherever I go. Good night, dear Daniel, she whispers, and flies off into the night. So this owl has silent wings so it can go hunt for its food. So this owl is going to find something to eat. What day of the week comes after Saturday? Sunday. On Sunday, the sun wakes up Daniel. He is happy when he remembers it's Sunday. Today is poetry in the park, says Daniel, and I have a poem. What do you think Daniel's poem is going to be like? Do you think it's going to be a long poem? Do you think it's going to be a short poem? Do you think it's going to rhyme? Do all poetry rhyme? Would you like to hear Daniel's poem? I would. Morning dew glistens, crisp leaves crunch. There's a home with many windows in the old stone wall. Cool pools to dive in, sun-warmed sand to lie in, singing at twilight when the day is done. Bright stars in the branches, moonlight on the grass, and silent wings to take me wherever I go. And look at all the different animals that inspired him to write this poem. There's owl. You guys see anybody else? There's squirrel. It looks like chipmunk down there. There's spider. And there's all his family and his friends. On the way home, Daniel stops to watch the sunset sky reflecting in the pond. That looks like poetry to me. To me too, says Dragonfly. The end. I hope you guys enjoyed Daniel Finds a Poem, because we are going to do an activity that goes along with Daniel Finds a Poem right after this. Welcome back to the activity piece of the story time. And today's activity, I'm going to show you guys how I made a poetry collage. I used an old recycled magazine. It was a garden magazine. I had a garden magazine and I had a bird magazine. And I had coloring pencils and markers, scissors to cut out my pictures. What else did I use? I had glue stick. I use a glue stick so I can glue my pictures on. What else? Yeah, that's what I used. And I found a big piece of paper. You don't have to use a big piece of paper. I used a big piece of paper because I love collages and I knew that I would find a lot of pictures. So I wrote a poem, and it is called A Summer Census Nature Inspired Garden Poem. I could write a poem about these frogs that we are hearing right now. But I'm going to read you my poem, okay? I see a bluebird perched on a bluebird box, and I see sunflowers and other yellow flowers that make me smile. So here's the bluebird perched on a bluebird box, which they are all over the garden. So we do see them here all the time. And there's yellow flowers. There's sunflowers and there's the black-eyed Susans. There's a whole bunch of yellow flowers in our garden, and I do love yellow. I feel the wings of Harry the heron as he fly above me, and feel all the love that the trees give me. Now here's a picture of a heron, and we do really have a heron that lives here, and I call him Harry. And you can get really close to him, and if you do, you might scare him, and then he flies above you, and he flies so close you really do feel the wings. It has happened. I hear the rain as it trickles down the rain chain, and I hear the rustling of the leaves in the trees. Here's the rain, here's the trees. I smell the basil, and I taste the tomatoes and sweet basil from the garden that I put on my grilled cheese. You guys like tomatoes and basil on your grilled cheese? I love it that way. And I always get to pick fresh sweet basil from our garden and tomatoes to take home. Oh my goodness, did you guys see that cool hummingbird? Right? So again, let's do some 5 senses really quick. I cannot leave this spot without doing another 5 senses activity. Okay? So we just saw a hummingbird, and they are really busy this morning. We'll probably see another one. And what else do we see? Claudine, what else do you see? Tell me something you see, Claudine. There's a hummingbird again.
I see a cattail.
Claudine says she sees cattails. Those are the long things, look like hot dogs on a stick. And I see lotus flowers. I see some little white flowers. I don't know, do you smell anything in particular, Claudine? I don't really smell anything but the fresh air. And then we can touch all of the different flowers. And guess what? They have a little bit of rain and a little bit of dew on them, so they are wet. What do you think? They're what? They're wet. They are very wet. Oh, and here's something that's very, very fuzzy. And if I touch this, it'll sound crunchy. It sounds crunchy. Now, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about two of my favorite artists that I love, and they, to me, are the masters of collage. There's Henri Matisse, which you guys have this document. It's going to be in the resources that's along with this story time. There's Henri Matisse, which he had a way of doing collage, and it was called painting with scissors. So he would cut out his images with these funky little shapes, and he would just glue them onto paper. I think I have a picture of one of them. Oh yeah, here's a picture of one of them. See? He used to call this style of collaging painting with scissors. And another artist I absolutely love, another king of collage, his name is Romare Bearden. And if you guys get a chance, tell your parents to take you to VMFA, the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts, here in Richmond, and you'll find some Romare Bearden paintings. And I think they might have some Matisse stuff too. So, I hope you guys had fun, and I hope you get outside and go walk around. Because just like Daniel, you don't need a fancy garden to be inspired by nature to write a poem. You can take a neighborhood walk, or you can go right in your backyard. So you guys enjoy your day. Go find a poem.